Hello, everybody. It is me, Empress Katuzi, or otherwise known as Crimson. Today, we're going to be talking about a series that I just recently found out about on a website that I read a scanlation on, and it's called Leveling Up for Max Level. And there's multiple versions of series like this. At first, I thought maybe this sounded like something because they are taking an idea that I like and another idea I like, which is martial arts worlds and Mirim and all of those type of series that I've really been enjoying for the past couple of years. They've gained my interest, and I just like just martial arts in general. So seeing it in this form and seeing that aspect in there of you getting sent to that world or just characters in that world already, and then the other aspect of dungeon breaks and a fantasy world happening in the real world, or you ending up in a fantasy world and having that isekai or MMORPG fantasy. Like in games, but having that happen in real world and having people have status windows and all the like, and it seems interesting. But this series, as I'm about to talk about it, this series just reminded me of another series, and I'm just going to mention it right here, which is a bad thing because with the oversaturation of a whole bunch of series like this one, where everything is just the same, and then you have to find the diamonds in the rough, like I mentioned in my last review ramble discussion when I was talking about Trapped in Another World as a trash. But this one reminds me of another series with the same concept almost, but at least this series has the aspect of someone this series. I don't know where I'm going with this. Like I said, a bunch of rambling on like any other day, like today. But this series reminds me of another series that I really like and is actually pretty good. But it's getting kind of still in its second run, its second season. It's called Descent from the Demonic Master, Descent of the Demonic Master, where there's this guy where, just like in this series I just read, he ends up in an accident, and then after that accident his family dies. No, wait. I guess this series takes the basic concept of that one because it's a lot more complicated in Demonic Master. But pretty much he spoilers, by the way, for the series and everything. Because I'm just gonna get right into it. If you want to check out the series, you check it out. If you like that, if you like series like this, you'll like it. But I'm just gonna say it, the series is pretty generic. It has interesting things where I can read up on it and check it out more. I've only read the first 11 chapters from the Scanlation website that just released it, and I found out that on other websites that have scanned this series, it's already at 40 chapters, so it has 40 chapters, and if you want to check it out, check it out. But from here, spoiler warning over. Pretty much, he's a character that ends up in an accident. His parents die, his sister lives, but then he gets sent to the world of Miram, where he has to learn martial arts and go through it. And he gets stuck in a cave where he needs to learn from a martial arts, like book in order to learn the martial arts. And there's another series that I really like that I haven't talked about in a review yet called Nano Machine that I need to talk about, where it has the same thing. I just like it when they learn from books and they aren't just super masterclass instantly. So he's trapped in a cave, he has to learn from the book. Once he's done learning from the book, he can leave the cave, ends up in the Miram world, and he can go out there and fight foes and go through it. They go through it really quickly in the first couple of chapters, where he gets transported back to his own world and stuff like that. But he ends up being missing for 14 years in the real world. But in the Miram world that he got sent to, where he's trapped there for 14 years, those 14 years are actually in the hundreds. So he's been away for 140 years. I guess not 100 each year, else he would be gone for like for more than 1,000 years, which would have been cool for him to be an unaging guy that was gone for that long. But 140 years was enough for him because he ended up becoming max level in that world as a martial artist. Miram world, he just killed only evil people. Didn't really kill, I guess, good people, but he probably did end up fighting those people that we don't really know about. But then he ended up being super powerful. He felt like he had no passion anymore, so then he decided that he didn't want to live anymore because he like doesn't have purpose anymore. But then after that, got a notification like in the series skill based, like, and he's kind of got a skill like tree open up in front of him and transported back to the real world, and then he has to be in a world where that like gaming level up system has taken over this world. There's dungeon breaks, there's monsters coming out. They can go into these dungeons in order to gain skills, level up, and things like that. You know this. You've seen series like this. I think that because of how oversaturation this market is, that if you were to if this was your first version of this story, you'll like it. If you're someone like me that just keeps on reading it because you just like it doesn't really matter if it has that like cinch, just like an isekai, where it has like that uniqueness that makes it different. This one really doesn't. It just took Demonic Master and any other generic isekai or series like this that I've read a bunch and mixed them together. And I'm a sucker for martial arts series. This series got me with that, so I'm gonna read up on it more and figure out more about it. But then he ends up getting transported back, meets up back with his sister because it's been 14 years. She's around the same age as him, and oh my god, this fucking. I'm just gonna have a rant about this. I hated like everyone just calls him a child. It's a culture thing because he's just talking about it's just something like the neat at calling him a loser for saying that he's like the master swordsman, goddess sorceress. I already forgot his title. Goddess of swords, the god no god of swords and stuff like that. And they just call his sister calls him a loser and says why is he a child and stuff like that. It's a culture thing. I get it. I found it stupid. They also don't believe him that he's a strong guy, even though that I guess they notice his strength and then see his strength, and then they have a character that doesn't really get it. But then at least the sister got it quickly, and other people get it quickly, and they don't just the hero has to like pretend that he's level F and stuff like that. At least he sort of like has a mind where he just does things, and then people have to deal with it, and it just makes me like it how they just. They don't go for like those comedy bits where people think that he's this weak bitch, but then he has to prove himself each time. At least he has a I don't care personality because at least he's lived for 140 years, and he can just like just go through things, just have people catch up on speed and have things go through this. He ends up being recruited by another lady that ended up exactly like him, where there's these two other characters that we find out in the series that also got transported to the mirror world, but they didn't go as long as him, didn't get to the same rank as him because he ended up being a max level mirror warrior in that series, in that world, and before he got transported. But the other two didn't get that far, and then they ended up dying, and then they got transported from death, just like in Demonic Master. But with him, this guy, the main character, Cha Sui Yun, he ended up not dying. He just ended up just thinking about dying. He got transported back, and he just has a maniacal laugh, and he's gone crazy. Especially with him getting to max level in that world, he just kept on killing demonic people and just learning martial arts and being very patient. And then he just has like the whole entire body mental art, where I guess he probably has like all 12 meridian points unlocked, probably all secretive 36. The inner points of every point has that primordial ocean developed in his stomach, like in the series, where like his ocean is filled up with so much ki from the world, and he can like just suck it in. And he even like says in the series at a certain point where he can use key techniques that uses up his life force that will make him die, but he's reached such enlightenment that he can go even further beyond, and he can suck out his life force but also gain life force from the key, so he's in a never ending infinite cycle to just get stronger and stronger, so he can use as much martial arts and also mystical arts as he wants. And that aspect, because every aspect is like this, where it's a power fantasy series. You can just go with that because of how strong he got. It would have been cool to see his development, because at least in the series you can like see a development happening. They just sped right through it, and then we're just going along for the ride. So if you want a guilty pleasure series like this, I'd recommend it. For the one that recruited him into her guild, but then the main character said, "I'm stronger," so hierarchy. They did a partnership instead, and she had a pretty cool design. She learned assassin arts in the mirror world before she died, but the main character was just like, well, I already learned that in my 140 years, so I can just best you instantly. I think the main character is a main attack of him summoning like a mind sword. He can summon like like a ring of swords behind his back, and he can just shoot multiple swords. A lot of people think Final Fantasy. No, not Final Fantasy. Unlimited Blade Works, Fate slash Stay Night. How did I mix those two together? I don't know. Both of them started with an F, I think, if I'm getting that right. But I got it. It's good. It works. So basically, he just ends up working with this lady. At least he has one ally. But then the other warrior is when because the main character doesn't like the person that sends them on this. Like the high level entity that sent them into the mirror world, and also had the dungeon breaks happen. In most series, they have that system, like I mentioned in the last review, in Trapped in World as a Trash, and also as in Omniscient Reader, where you have like gods and that can support you and stuff like that. They don't have that, but usually in the series, there's a reason for why a dungeon breaks happening and why you're being transported to other worlds and various realities. The series interesting, but it happens so much that sometimes you're just okay with the basic series. to just have it going. But series like this are popular, so they're just gonna keep on happening, and then people are just once they're done with the good series that they like to go to the mid tier and the low tier. I'd put this series as a mid tier, but it can go down to the low tier. At least it doesn't have trash like other trash that I've seen. With the trash that I've seen, I would say that this is a blessing. This series is a blessing. At least, and the art's good. It's good. Apparently, the author is Hai Mugek and the artist is Kim Samrak. I'll need to check out their stuff to see if they've done other stuff like this, but this is their only work. At least it's interesting. But the other Miyamura that we haven't met yet, or I haven't read enough to meet yet, thinks that he's stronger than the main character, but he probably hasn't lived as long as this guy, because apparently, the girl that he met that was also Miyamura only lived, I guess, as much as the other guy. Maybe that guy lived a bit longer, but they knew each other when they got transported. Because I guess they weren't in the cave as long as this guy. But apparently, the third Memorial ends up as an antagonist besides the main character and this girl, because he decided that one of the people that sent them to the mirror world is this guy named Sword God King, if I remember that correctly, and he has apparently made the third warrior an enemy, or maybe the third guy just got crazy and he has having a power trip. But once he meets the main character can slap him away, and just trash can be trash. Don't If you're gonna have a bad personality and be a douche, he even dresses like a douche. As soon as when I saw that character design at first, he seemed like a simple guy, but then once you see him in society, he just he's just a douche with slick back hair. I'll see the main character trash that guy in the future, and then we'll fight other dungeons, see whatever mystical beast is summoning whatever goddess or gods or sending these dungeons around, and see the main character beat him up because he's on a mission for revenge. He just wants to kill this person and see if they're the reason for why he even had that accident in the first place, and then he can just we'll just see how the series goes. But so far, even though there's problems with it, I can rant about it with all of its genericness, but it's interesting. Wanted to talk about it. It's an interesting read if you want to read about it. I've only gone this far, but there's more that I can talk about, especially if I talk about like Man Nano Machine that I mentioned. There's a lot of stuff in that that's interesting because they mix together futuristic stuff with Miram stuff and time travel. He needs to get to things happen. The futuristic stuff. I'm spoiling another series now. I'm spoiling two, but yeah, this is all I can talk about this series. If you want to check it out, check it out. I might not read the future of it. I might not even read to the current chapter that's in the 40s. I might just leave it off at the first 11 chapters I've just read. But I just want to talk about this quickly. I found it interesting. Let me know what you think, but check it out. If you enjoyed this ramble review discussion, and leave a like. If you didn't like this whatsoever, then you can leave a dislike. It's your decision. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, the next time that I make video, and yeah, bye. See you later. Oh yeah, I'm gonna give this series a 6, a 5 or a 6 out of 10. The last series, I think I gave a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I'd no revise it. It's a 5. It's average. I could make it lower on some of the things that made me mad, but there's also things that I like about this series because it's kind of interesting, kind of cool. But I've seen better. But 5, 5. Leave it, reap it. I'll see you guys later. Have a nice day. Bye. Subscribe. Bye.